Welcome to Curious Salma. Today is a very special episode. I decided to bring two of my friends for our episode, the Introverts Roundtable. Doaa Farid is an award winning media producer. She is just awesome. I'm so proud to be her friend. Jojo Flores is an events specialist and production designer in Abu Dhabi. We were flatmates in 2019 and we've become friends since then. Hello, ladies.
Hi, Salma.
Aloha.
And well, I am really excited. I appreciate everyone who signs up, but I found out that guys are even more inclined to sign up their name to be on my podcast, Jojo? But I have to chase women.
That's true. That's true in all aspects. Isn't that true in all aspects?
It's also my first time to be a guest on a podcast. I'm usually the producer or the interviewer side, so I'm so excited to be on the other chair just for once.
Really?
Yes, I've never been a guest, so it feels weird that I'm doing an interview like unprepared. So,
Well,
yeah.
I don't listen to podcasts. So yeah, it's first
Mm.
for me for
Mm.
everything.
So we're gathered here to talk about the whole debate of introverts versus extroverts. I think it's a perfect place for you guys to voice all your concerns, stuff that irritates you about extroverts and the outside world, what you want people really to know. Like it's a whole platform. Like we're going at it. So I'm ready. I'm ready to hear a lot of the criticism or whatever you want to say. But are you ready?
Yes, I think 50% of my conversation with you, Salma, is all about introverts versus extroverts. We always do that. We did that yesterday over the phone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jojo, I give you flashbacks right now. Remember in 2019, we were living together, right?
Yeah.
And we were just getting to know each other. And what I remember distinctively about you is that you're someone who really wanted their space at home. There
Yeah.
are days where you wanted to talk to me, you would talk for hours about different stuff, and there are days where you just like, it was clear that don't come near me, I'm just in my own space. Right.
Yeah, but that's true. Yeah.
But then I would like be telling you, oh, I'm going out with my friends, wanna come, it will be fun. And you always give me the same answer, something along the lines of, no, introverts don't do that.
Like the other day, Salma was telling me that she wants me to introduce her to cool people that I know, and I was like, I immediately looked at her and said, Salma, do you believe yourself? You're talking to me. I
But
don't introduce people. I usually get introduced. I'm the part that gets introduced.
yeah. Yeah, so Jojo, remember that time when you used to kind of bully me sometimes and say, "Oh, you're such an extrovert."
Yeah, well, you are, and it was a bit of oh, no, I don't mind extroverts because I work with them and I have friends who are, I guess I get along with extroverts, but then it will take people like really time for them to understand, like I really don't want like so much attention. Like I really, like I would go to a party and definitely I would like walk away. Like I would hide, or I would find a spot where I find like my peace. Like in a party, I would go out, like go for a smoke or something, and then they would try to find me, basically. Even at my when I moved out and I lived with my friend and she had parties every week, man, I just like I talk to them like for 20 minutes, and then I go, like I sneak out. Like I go upstairs. I go to my room and then I just hear them like, "Where's Jojo? Where's Jojo?" I mean, like lock my room and just not go out.
But then let's start with what you said before we recorded. Like, what got you to work in the event management and the event industry? Because you have to be talking and interacting with people a lot.
I think it's part of me trying to become normal, become part of the community, become like gain confidence for my own, like for myself. Like I joined everything in school, like theater, glee club, things that would like push me, even if it gave me anxiety. Um, that would push me to just be out there and just don't care, like don't care about other people. Like for example, when I did theater, basically you don't see people you sing for or act, because the lights are kind of blinding. So when they're blinding, you see no one, so you're up against yourself. So for me, that was just the confidence that I needed for myself. Like being on stage, uh just doing it for myself. It's basically for myself to gain confidence. That's it. But yeah, it just through the years it just became my career. Like I went to an events and did things that give me anxiety, I guess,
And how long have you been working in the event industry, events?
since I was 16. So
Wow.
yeah,
Mm.
since I was 16.
Do you still like it?
I actually like I love creating scenes, creating moments for everyone. I enjoy, because basically I'm a designer as well. So like from scratch you design everything, you plan everything. So I love that part of seeing it firsthand, like seeing what I've created. So it's like, when you design your room, your space, like it's done by you, it's you. So for me, that's the thing. Like it's not, of course, I I I I want to, like, to make my clients happy or whatnot. But end of the day, it's still your work, and you make yourself happy. Like you make a pat on the back, and you see your work up and running.
Cute.
Yeah, I am.
Let's move to introvert number two. What got you into uh, working in the field you are right now in?
I think that I love to write. I started writing since I was 10 years old, and then I got so passionate about news at that age, and I knew that I wanted to be a news reporter. And I've, like, the years after, I just knew it that whatever major I will study, I'll just graduate and work as a journalist. So I started working as a print journalist, like writing in a newspaper and magazines. So later on, I got more passionate about being a storyteller. Like I love to tell people stories and telling these stories to people in a very interesting way. That requires, of course, meeting new people, talking to new people every day, and meeting strangers, and that's the hardest part. I remember when I started working, when I was an intern right after college, and then my editor told me that I have to call sources, like the people who have more information. And that was the part that I hated the most. I started calling sources and praying inside that they don't pick up, and just to go to
Oh
my
my God,
editor and tell
same.
her no one picked up. So that was the hardest part about it. But then just few months later, I got used to it. Now I'm super confident talking to
Are you better
strangers.
now, Doa?
Yeah,
Are you
at it.
better at it?
Yeah, because it's kind of I know exactly what to say. I've been a journalist for over 10 years now. So I know what to say. I know how to introduce myself in work, and I know how to convince different people from different walks of life to talk to me as a journalist. So yeah, I'm better at it now very much.
No, but do you feel that because I still have it until now. Like when I introduce myself during meetings, I'm very confident, yes. But I have this, like you just hate just meeting people. Like you still have that feeling of like, ugh, oh my god, okay, it's gonna start. Like, just for example, like now, I felt, oh my god, yeah, I forgot. Like subconsciously, I forgot about the podcast.
It gives me anxiety before, like, if I'm going to a conference or an event to cover a story or something, I ha- I get anxious before doing it. Like that I have to go and meet strangers. So I think about it. I think twice about it. But at the end of the day, because I
You have
have
to,
to do it, so when you have to just suck it and do it and
yeah,
be good at it.
So I really don't understand what you're talking about here. Because the we had a similar kind of start, because I studied journalism and I did
Mm,
also like some internships
mm,
as a journalist. And what you're
mm,
just saying is exactly the opposite for me. Like when I did these type of news stories, and they would tell me to contact, like whatever sources. This is when I felt like I'm doing proper journalism. I was like, yeah, I'm talking to sources, I'm getting quotes. Same with what you're saying now. Like the best part for me in the podcast is not the editing. Let's just be honest. It's just like talking to sometimes
mm.
strangers or my friends, and just like, being in front of the mic actually. That's something my dad used to say about me, like, just leave the microphone for a second. Like I would
Yeah, post production is the most difficult part of the production process. So yeah, you have valid concerns about editing, I think.
but do you enjoy it?
I enjoy post production because this is where you play. This is where you change the story and tell it in your own way. Add music, sound effects. Sometimes you re-edit, you reorder the story. I love doing that because I also do interviews like on a weekly basis. I record interviews with people, and the moment that I reorder the story is so much fun because it gives me a chance to tell their stories in a proper, organized way and interesting way, adding like plot twists. I treat it like a novel, the script. Yeah, like a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I love writing stories and telling people stories.
How about you, Jojo? Do you enjoy the organization of the event before the event day?
I think events is basically telling a story. It's like you guys, like when you write your news or your whatever when you write.
Hmm.
It's like it has a beginning to end. So it's basically a journey, an experience for the guests, for the client. So you're basically a storyteller. So it's the same thing. Like what we're doing is like visual storytelling experience. Like you have to give them a journey. So the moment they enter to the moment they leave, it's in the span of 3 hours. You can't let them be like bored. So there should be areas that they can, like basically we plan for introverts and extroverts, because we have to say, okay, what if they get bored with this? Like where can they go? So then we can put them in a pre-function area, or like we can create an area for them to lounge. So it's basically storytelling as well. So what you guys are doing, like we're basically doing it like live. How you guys are like editing videos and film, where we can't mess it up because it's live, so we can't recut and we can't, but what we can do is plan ahead, like really plan well, think 10 steps ahead. So for me, it really plays well with my obsessive compulsive being, trying to be being a perfectionist kind of thing. And I think that's part of being an introvert, because you can think, you have your own piece, you have your, you can think 10 steps ahead of for everyone.
So we'll talk about all of this extensively again in the episode. But first, I wanted to ask you, since the name of my podcast is Curious Salma, I want to ask you, what are you guys curious about? Let's start with Dudu. Doaa.
I think I'm curious about stories in all their forms. I love watching movies, series. I love reading novels. I love that I'm creating stories and telling stories. So I think I'm passionate. I love watching programs as well, like TV programs or the specials on Netflix, for example, because recently I've been very passionate about learning about people, people's lives, especially people who've gone through plot twists in their life, like people who discovered their true passion after the age of 40 or something, people who had life changing events that they can share with people to like inspire them.
How about you, Jojo?
Going through what Doa said, I was very like as a young person, I was very observant with everything. Being the youngest, I was this annoying little child. I was gonna say something else, but I was this annoying little child who just wanted to know everything. So for me, as a young kid, I was basically snooping around everything, and I used to read the encyclopedia even because we didn't have a lot to do and we didn't have internet. So for me, reading and observing people, I was always, up until now, I'm very curious about how the world is, and like, it doesn't there's no it's endless actually, like your curiosity about life, about people. And that's why I tend to be like very talkative, because I base it on who I'm talking to. I tend to like really really expound on like my experiences and the others experiences. And because it's very interesting. Everything is very interesting for me, like how, I don't know, Elon Musk believes that there's life in Mars. Or like, for example, what's the thought process of everything, like of everyone? How did they think? Like for me, everything has an answer. Everything has an answer, and you just have to dig, like, why did they do this? Why did they kill this person? Why did the war start? Like it's basically a lot. Like I'm a very um open-minded person, I guess. Especially in my 20s, mid 20s, I became really really like interested in people's experiences and everything around me, surrounding me.
See, this is already something that we three have in common, like being curious.
Mm.
Like, I can also say that when I was young, I was very annoying to my family, at school, everyone, because I kept asking a lot of questions. And that even went further and further in high school. I was not just asking curious questions, but I was very critical. Like, why are we doing this like that? It doesn't make sense. Why there is not blah, blah, blah. So I still remember stuff like that. But I think being curious is an amazing quality. It's something that allows you, as you said, Jojo, one of the things is to be open minded, because when you're curious is when you want to know more about something, even if that something is very different from what you're used to. And you keep pursuing that curiosity. And sometimes it even changes your perspective about things. So both of you are morning people, right?
No, I'm not.
So if you have to.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. What are your morning routines? What does it look like?
Jesus.
As simple as just having coffee and like going to the office if I have to, or recently having coffee and just, yeah, starting life all over again every day. I don't have something special that I do in the morning.
How about you, Jojo?
It depends. I would rather sleep Like if I didn't work, I would rather sleep the whole day. Um, but yeah, like coffee would be the first thing, or showering would be the first thing actually. Showering would be the first thing I do. Um, but it really depends on the day. Like if it's a work day, then I'd be rushing, going to the shower and just preparing coffee. But I would really time myself. The thing with me is really I would time myself of like because I know I I can prepare myself like less than 20 minutes, 12 minutes to be exact. I've timed myself.
Interesting.
Um, and 12 minutes means for the 8 minutes, I can grab coffee. I can make coffee, smoke a cigarette. So yeah, like I still have like a moment where I breathe first before I leave, before I go out the door.
And for me also, I don't like to talk at the morning generally. Like I would like to have like 2 hours just to process everything all over again and arrange my mind and plan what I have to do over the day. Then I can talk. I mean, even on the phone.
Oh, that's where we're opposites. I do it the end of the day. I plan the day ahead. Like I plan the work I have for the next day. I write it on my notes so I don't have to like panic in the morning. Because I mean, we have the a different like we have different work style and work even. But for me, I start really like just knowing what I have to do in the morning before like the day before. For me, my mind, you have like I have to like prepare my mind. Okay, this is tomorrow. So I'm not like anxious. I'm not like stressed. I don't like being stressed, especially when I have to do like shows and I have to prepare myself. Like they think I'm crazy, by the way, like because I have loads of lists. Like I have lists for production. I have lists for myself. Like I have like separate so that I know what to expect from others.
That's a good segue to talking about OCD. So it's a fun topic.
Just shows that your friend is OCD.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you if, in that instance, specific instance that you said that you prepare a lot of lists and you prepare and over prepare, do you think this helps you in your career because you're becoming, uh, it makes you very, very organized to everything? You know all the details. You can anticipate everything because of how over organized you are.
Basically, I mean, for me, if you respect your craft, if you respect the people around you, it's you who has to like be organized for the people who are actually paying for it. So if a client will tell me you forgot about this, then it's on you. Like it's your mistake for not thinking. Like why would a client think of that? So you have to, as I said, like think 10 steps ahead. Like events anyway, like 2% of events will always like be shit. Like you will always have a surprise of rain in an outdoor field. You have surprise of a technical error. So but you'll have to be for me in any craft that you're doing, be a doctor, be a pilot, you have to be fully prepared because I mean at the end of the day you have end users who are actually paying for this, so you'll have to think steps ahead. I guess it's for me, respect for myself and respect for the end user.
Being an organized person, it really has helped me across my career and it got me into places because I remember I had managers, for example, or my bosses coming to me and giving me opportunities or projects just because they needed someone who is organized, who can plan and prepare like good plans ahead of the project. And they be sure that I would conduct this task properly. in a way that they would like. So it has helped me to get into places and have many opportunities.
On the other side of the spectrum, uh, it's not because I'm extroverted, but because I have ADHD. So, with ADHD in my normal life, I have no idea how I'm going to go about the day. Like, I can have the most random idea in the middle of the day and say, yes, let's do it. So impulsiveness is something I'm always going through. But how I do things at work, for years, it used to be like, I would imagine what an organized person do. And then I would do that like them. So, to be very honest with you, like for years, I would be like this every day. Like an organized person at work would make a list of what the day is going to be through, or would follow through with this project or whatever. So I was like kind of mimicking another person in my head to get me to do the job properly, and it actually helped. It helped a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like for me, if you were to like give me like, I guess, $1 billion or something, I would choose to just sleep the whole day. Like seriously, like I wouldn't push myself to do things that I'm doing now. Like I would just, if I liked events, if I like shows, I would choose. Like I would choose my shows. I would choose like who to really cater to. But end of the day, it's you pushing yourself. Like it's you telling yourself, okay, I'm going to do this because it's easier for my life. Like it's easier for my life to know. To know and not to be embarrassed. For me, it's also number one, not to be embarrassed because I'm hired to do this. Like it should be me who should be thinking of this. So for me, it's I don't know where I get it from or how I learned it. Like I don't like being criticized for the work that I really love. So and if it's your passion, like if you're passionate
You
about
don't like
something,
feedback?
I like feedback when there's this is the thing with me because I plan really well. Like I think of the things that can happen in an event. When someone tells me to change it, I'm prepared. You prepare for it. But then when someone tells me of a thing that doesn't make sense in my head, it doesn't connect to the event, it doesn't connect, I question it. Of course I will question that. But if it's a good feedback, yes, of course, why not? Like that's the thing with like telling me, like for example, why did you lose the project, why didn't we get the project? Then I go like, there are lots of things, there's endless reasons why we didn't get the project. It's either it's how we presented it, and I always say we because we can't, of course in events we can't, we're not only the only people who are working on it. And sometimes the heads don't agree, like they want you to claim why you failed, and this pisses me off because it's not only because of this that you lost, it's because of the money, it's because of this, it's because of how we spoke. So collectively there are lots of reasons why we failed. So why pinpoint? Like I don't see the reason of pinpointing failure when it's a collective thing. So for me, yes, I get annoyed with criticisms with no reasoning behind it. But if there's a logic behind, of course I know how to accept it. Yeah, but it's hard for me to accept things when it doesn't make sense in my head. When it doesn't make sense, I'm like, please explain. Like, why? Please explain it to me. You really have to explain it to me, and I really have to understand the logic behind it.
Well, I have two directions for my next question, but now I want to elaborate on what you just said. Is how do you deal with difficult people at work, or with people, let's just say, with people who don't understand the nature of your reasoning, why you think of things this the way how you do, like your process, people who don't understand your process, how do you deal with them?
You mirror,
Okay.
you mirror what they're doing, like what they're saying. Like for example, when someone says something negative, you just answer like, why is it that? So like, I mean, for me, not to create. And this is why I joke a lot, because jokes are half meant, and jokes are meant to be. It's either you believe it or you don't, right? So for me, in this industry, in this country, for me, joking with a client, joking with my colleagues is a sort of stress reliever for me, because then I release what I feel, what I think, but then they don't really see it as offensive. So when I go, like, when I tell you, like, Salma, like, you're really annoying, but then you look at me because you know I joke a lot. Like, is it real? Like, I confuse people a lot, but they know that I'm saying what I'm thinking. So it's a mixture of being true to yourself. Like, how do I deal with them? Is being true to yourself and just mirroring what I receive from them. Like, I just like bounce it back. Like, if you tell something that really annoys me, then I go like, yeah, well, you know,
But I know you find me annoying sometimes. I know.
yes,
I know
I
you
know.
mean it when you say it.
Yeah.
How about you do I?
I don't know if it would sound realistic to say this or not, but I never had a conflict with a work colleague because I don't like conflicts in general. So usually, even when the other person, when the tone of voice gets higher or it gets intense, I calm things down and say, let's just finish what we have to do. Because it's usually, I work as a producer, so most of the time we have to deliver something on the spot. So I be like, let's deliver and finish work, and then later we can talk about it. And if I talked with him or her about it and it's not yet solved, I would refer it up to my direct manager. I don't let the it's not personal. That's what I'm always thinking. It's not personal.
Yeah.
It's usually work related. So let's fix it at work and and do not let it get bigger than that.
I think that's the difference between our industries.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, events is more of like dragons against dragons. So for me, and especially I'm a woman in a where everyone is a man in
In your
this
industry?
world. In yeah, in events, especially here, like I had to like come out of my shell and be a beast in a way. You know, you have to be a beast because everyone around me, if I go to, like, for example, during when I met you, Doa, in Adnec,
Yeah,
you can count your like women during the setup, during the on-site setup. You cannot, you seriously, there are no women much, because basically it's labor work, and usually you work until, you work until, 3 days you're there. So if you don't match how men are, how they speak, then you will never get things done. Like, you have to show, like, you really have to do this. Like, especially when you're dealing with laborers, carpenters. This is why I'm like a very, I'm a chameleon, because I can speak to laborers, I can speak to CEOs or clients whatsoever. But then you have to change. Yes, I agree with the tone of voice. You have to change your tone of voice, and my tone of voice in this industry has to be like, no, you have to do it, because if you don't, if you go like, okay, if you have time, like, if
hmm.
I do it calmly, they see it as a weakness.
You had to learn how to be more assertive at work. I have a fun question for you. What would you wish that extroverts and ambiverts and everyone in the world, everyone else who is not an introvert, what would you wish they know about you that you wouldn't say out loud?
We don't hate you. We just we just have to recharge and reconnect with ourselves to be able to deal with you. So we're not ghosting you. We're just we need to reach. We need energy, and our energy for an unknown reason it runs out very fast. Like if I had two long phone conversations over the day, for me, I call it a day. That's it. I don't pick up anymore. Seriously. So the people that I do not pick up their calls think that I'm ignoring them or that I don't like them or I hate them. But it's just, guys, just my battery is running low now and I have to make it to the end of the day. So let me recharge my battery. And I think that for me, I don't know about you, Jojo, but the day they invented WhatsApp, I believe it was the happiest day in my life because I like WhatsApp. I like texting. I'm a texter.
Yeah, me too. I hate voice notes.
I freak out when people call. Salma's like, she doesn't believe us. I
No,
hate when people
I love
call
voice
me.
notes. I don't
I
want.
Okay.
I
hate
don't want
voice
to
notes.
text. I
I don't
hate texting.
agree. Like, just call. If you want to do voice notes, just freaking call me. Like, I don't see the reason.
You won't pick up.
No, like, seriously. Yeah, either, like, for at this age, guys, at this age, I guess when you reach my age, you will come into a conclusion.
How old are you, Auntie?
I'm 36.
Oh wow, spoken
Like,
like
no,
a
I,
grandma.
I have a feeling like when you reach in like your late 30s or whatsoever, like in your 30s, you would realize a lot of things. Like, oh, before I would go like, did I offend that person? Did I say the wrong thing? I'm like, now at this level, I'm like, yeah, I said it. Like, I would literally to the person, like, yeah, I said it. Like, end. Like, I would even have like dot end, like, yeah, end. I said
Yeah.
it. And then they would look at me like I'm perceived as very like blunt and rude and whatsoever. I could care less now. Like, as I if I can't be like how Doa is saying, like, it's not that I'm ghosting you. Yes, we are ghosting you. Like, we are ghosting you for that moment, so deal with it.
See the
Like,
difference?
see, so for me, it is it's a way of ghosting people when you ignore them. It's a way of saying go fuck off. Just go toot off. Like, seriously, like, it's a bathroom break.
Do you like daily conversations? Because I find it difficult to cope with it. Like I don't want to know how everyone is living their daily life.
No,
Seriously,
with
unless
my
it's
partner,
urgent,
yes. With
I'm
my
not.
partner,
Yeah,
yes.
that's a different story. But
Yeah.
with friends, for example,
No.
yeah,
Like, it would take, like, for example, Salma, like, I wouldn't like text her out of the blue. Like, she would always like message. It's not that we don't love you, Salma. It's just like, yeah, we're here, but you know, we care for you, but if you don't knock on our door, then we know that you're good. But I mean, I lived with you, Salma, so you know that when I don't hear you, I knock on your door, like, what's up? Like, I would actually ask you, what's wrong with you, woman? Come out of your shell. Like, I would. It's not that we don't care for people. We're very
exactly. We
caring, by
do
the way.
care, but in a different way that might sound rude sometimes. I'm not sure how to say it. For
We're
some
better
people, it sounds
prepared
rude.
because of our breaks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What about taking you guys to like concerts and events and like things with lots of people? What do you wish also extroverts to know? And that's based on my personal pain of trying to drag the introverts. my introverted friends around and them letting me go alone to events.
I like going to concerts and events and activities, and I've gone many of them alone, and I don't see any problem with that. Like at when I was 26, I believe I reached the peak of my adulthood because I've gone to like concerts, theater, cinema, um, everything alone, and I enjoy it, and I don't see a problem in that, and I don't mind people reaching out to me and suggesting going to concerts. I really love that, but I cannot go out every day. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And not
I
every
think
week
I think
as
that's
well.
what's
Do
hmm.
not make it like a regular thing. That's when I take a step back.
But that's the difference, like, of like, people seem to think that introverts are really boring people. We actually aren't. I don't find myself boring because I entertain myself. Like, I can be alone and
And
freaking
enjoy your
entertain myself the
company.
whole
Yes,
day.
yes, thank you. I enjoy my own company, and everyone
Yeah,
was
it's
like,
like,
"What do you do at home?" I do nothing, and I enjoy it.
I
Guess
mean, in the
what?
time of apocalypse, and you're stuck in a room, I would be like, yeah, there's a zombie outside, but yeah, like, live your life. Like, I think this is what introverts feel like. We'd rather have our space than go out there and, like, die.
Speaking of that, remember the lockdown when it
Yeah, I
was here
enjoyed. Oh my
between?
god, it was
Oh
so
my gosh,
fun.
I love that. I was, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I'm saying that, but I was so relieved that my friends are not calling me and saying, let's go out because there's nowhere we can go. And that was very relieving for me.
It was a dream come true. No, it was a dream come true. Honestly, I told Salma this when I saw her. Like, it was like a dream because me being OCD with cleanliness and seeing people mocking me for always putting disinfectant way before Corona happened, like decades back. Like, I've started already doing using disinfectant, and I always disinfected my work table, workstation, whatsoever, even my phone, like, every day. End of the day, imagine me in the office. End of the day, I would be wiping, and then in the morning I would be wiping as well before I work. Like, I would wipe everything, like my keyboard, my laptop, everything, like, it would be disinfected. So for me, the moment lockdown happened and seeing everyone buy disinfectant, for me that was like, oh my god, like, I can go outside without using my disinfectant much because everyone else is doing it. Everyone else is like, it's yeah, it's a dream come true. We should do lockdowns more often.
Shit. I
Time
remember you
alone
told
is like
I
awesome.
remember you told me that we or I don't remember who suggested, but like that we're going to make the subject of this episode like how COVID cured me
Oh yeah, I said, yeah.
because of how
I
you
did say
started to
that,
become
like,
more relaxed with your
yeah,
OCD.
honestly, I used to buy like bottles and bottles of disinfectant. Now I limit it to one or two in a month because now you see it everywhere. So basically, financially, I don't spend much on disinfectant now because everyone is like, it cured my anxiety to touch the lift, to touch everything. Like, when I go out, I feel the world is cleaner after COVID. Like, especially when the lockdown happened and the planes are not, like running, and a lot of things, like, it just made me realize um a pandemic can cure my anxiety for my OCD. And yeah, yeah, well, now people don't really hug you, like, because
Yeah.
they're afraid. Yeah, so you don't really, I mean, especially here in Abu Dhabi, you just do the fist bump. So before, they don't care, like they hug you and they stink and they have viruses and whatsoever. Like for me, that was really an annoying thing. Like I don't like physical like touch as well, like hugging, and that's a part of my anxiety as well.
Jojo, are you spontaneous?
Yeah,
Oh.
I especially with travels, as like I don't, because the fact that I already plan
Hmm.
um during work, like I plan for other people. With my life, I'm more of a free spirited one. Like I don't like people who plan, let's do brunch in a month, like let's schedule
Oh.
brunch next month, are you free? I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm free or maybe I'm not. Like I don't, because of my work, I guess. I don't want this to happen in my life. I don't want it to be super planned. um yeah, it's for me, it's because of my work. Like I want to have a relaxed moment of not being too anal with myself, I guess. It balances my sanity.
Hmm. So you guys had the time of your life during lockdown, huh?
I worked out, I had my elliptical, and I'm like, I was like, do yeah, I was working out, man.
Just to clarify, I didn't like it when it got longer and longer. I loved the first few weeks because it was new, and as Juju said, it was dream coming true. But then when it was like months, that's when shit hit the fan.
I think no, I never felt that. I only felt the reality of like the income coming in. That's when I realized, oh God, like I have to think of ways of how to actually survive it, especially in events sector. We really got hurt so bad,
Mm,
like zero
yeah.
events, zero anything. So the anxiety of not being able to go out was basically because I had to have an income. But then, Doa, I found a way. I found a way of like doing it online. Like I found a way of like doing things online. So I
Hmm.
actually loved it in the 1 year. Like the 1 year that it was really down for events and the cuts of the salary and everything. But in terms of freaking out of not going out, I would freak out if we don't have deliveries, I think.
Of course, I'm not going to go into my year because this is the introverts roundtable, and the extrovert
No,
had a
but it's
whole
extroverted versus introvert, so you
the
can.
the extrovert had a whole different journey, like that Dua was very familiar with, because she was one of my cornerstones during that year. Actually, like I couldn't
Oh,
legitimately have survived without her. um
I
oh.
remember we did a game night as
I
well, like
did a lot of game
Yeah.
nights on Zoom. I connected.
Salma discovered new passions. Oh, we're sitting at home. Okay, so I'm arranging game nights.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was
did what I
nice.
could to survive. Like you guys are saying how you were comfortable, very comfortable in your own space, and I was just getting used to living on my own, and it was very, very stressful for me just being on my own and not being able to go out. And yeah, and the first few months I used my energy into like making sure everyone I know in the universe is okay, because it's a pandemic. It's the biggest thing that we've ever seen. Back then I was like, this is big, so I contacted people I haven't contacted in 6 7 years. I wanted to make sure everyone I know is okay. That was number one. And number two was like, okay, I need to have people in my life. So I did a lot of these Zoom calls, which is similar to our discussion right now. And actually, this is when I had the idea
Mm,
to start a podcast, because I was feeling like, oh, these discussions are very interesting. I think they should be recorded, you know? So I did a lot of Zoom calls with everyone around, like my friends all over the world. And then we started these game nights. And I think mainly the alluring part or people who joined were the ones who are in a similar situation like me, the ones who are kind of stuck and can go out and they need that type of human connection. So I had people join from like Switzerland and France and Italy and Egypt and here and Abu Dhabi, like you, Jojo, and Saudi, like from everywhere. And it was really cool back then because I managed to connect people from all of these, and then some of them became actual like friends after a while. So we played the cards, like Cards Against Humanity. We played like Among Us. We played like different games online, and that was another part, like the introverted part in me or whatever. But I want to get into another thing about what I think of introverts actually. So that's a good segue.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I um, started observing after recording a few episodes right now is that extroverts have no issue on like volunteering or signing up to be on my podcast, and they have no issue of like talking about their things and opinions and stuff. They are just like, they are out there, they are outspoken, it's one of their characters, it's not arrogance or whatever, they just have no issue of saying them. But when I go and I try to think of friends or people I know that I think have interesting stuff to say and I want to invite them, I always get the same reply back. This is not what introverts do. And and it got me thinking actually, what does that mean? Like I was so surprised at how the people who I think are very very interesting and have interesting stuff to say are the ones who don't want to say it.
I mean, you're saying it now. Like, why is it like you're calling yourself extroverted, right? I honestly think that we're all extroverted anyway. But then you train yourself to have your time alone, like to have your thoughts to yourself. Like you train Zen, silence. So for me, introvertedness is a form of meditation. It's a form of having time for yourself. It's for your sanity. So it's not that we get like, because we trained ourselves to be like this. We did train ourselves. Like for me, I had to train myself to gain confidence, and like, but for me, I need my alone time. And my alone time is what you call introvertedness, but I feel no, it's just basically your time for yourself. Like you need that. Everyone needs to be recharged. Everyone needs a break. Everyone needs, and I guess this is why I'm saying Corona is the best thing that happened to us, because everyone now appreciated more, life, like aloneness, like life, how like then we talk to our family, then we talk to our friends, then you started realizing that okay, me being alone, I'll do game night. Like you have connection still, but you did game night, but then the rest of the day is silent. So for me, we should practice and not call it introvertedness, but we should practice meditating, being alone for like a while in a day, like a few times in a day to yourselves. Like it's not just about sleep and all, but just silence. Because then this is why we talk a lot, Salma. This is
Yeah.
why we have a lot of opinions, because having time for yourself is basically observing your surroundings, observing what you've done, observing, like really talking to yourself. And yeah.
So, also answering to Salma's question, I think I'll speak about me, not on behalf of all introverts, but I do realize because introverts are observant, I do personally realize my size and impact in the whole world. I don't think that I have to have an input in everything, and that if I didn't attend this, or if I didn't say my opinion about this, then I'd be missing out something. No, I realize that I don't have to participate in everything that takes place in the world. So that maybe the reason why introverts do not sign up to your podcast, because they have interesting stories, but they just realize that okay, maybe these stories are not that interesting enough, or maybe not everyone has to hear these stories. They are interesting for me, for my circle of friends. I don't have to share it with the world to be an interesting, or just to validate that this story is interesting.
Hmm. This is actually in itself very interesting what you just said. And it took me years actually. I think recently, and maybe as I'm growing up, is when I started to realize that I don't have to have a say in everything that's happening. This was not my nature. Like years ago on Twitter, I had a say for everything that's happening, like everything that is trending. And yeah, it's very consuming. I think what COVID, to have a middle ground with you guys, be able to relate, what the pandemic has kind of made me discover is that my energy is very valuable. And I used to like just not think about it at all because I had lots of it. So I was like always talking, always having people around, networking with everyone. But since I had that burnout because of how I was overdoing it, as I said, in the first few months of the pandemic, and I started to have burnout and my energy levels were getting really lower, that's when I started to understand and learn more about how my energy, how valuable it is, how I have to be very careful about who I am, about my company, who is having access to that energy. And till now, it's something that I'm very aware of. But even when you said like commenting on the events or having a say in everything, even this takes a lot of energy. And is it worth it or not? It's something that I have become more and more and more aware of it.
You get stimulated by being around people. Is that true? As an you as
Yeah.
an extrovert.
Yeah, the main difference for me between introverts and extroverts and the whole thing, Jojo, is that when I became aware of it in 2010, actually, when I did this Myers Briggs test in college. They made us take that test as part of like knowing which jobs work for you better, like as sort of career planning. And I was, I think, 19. And they would tell you that when you grow up, sometimes the scale of things, whether you're on the feeling side or the other side, extrovert, would change a bit, but they won't change drastically unless you've been in a very traumatic experience that like have changed you completely. But otherwise, you could be like, oh, I was like 80% on the extroverted side, but now I'm like 70%. So it's a scale. Every one of us, as Jojo said, has an introverted side and extroverted side, a feeling side and a thoughtful side, thinking side. Like each one of us has all of these, but it's percentages wise. So definitely I get stimulated by having conversations with people, and it's one of the main reasons I started the podcast at this specific time, because I really needed that. I wanted that. Getting access to different energies feeds me. So yeah, so this has been great. As you know, though, I am having a lot of fun with this.
I think for us, conversation um, is the best tool to learn. Like for me, I've chosen a path or decided on things based on other people's experiences. Like for me, I never got a credit card in my life because I've seen how much it affects a lot of people. So for like I these things are like not like you don't have I don't have to experience it. You get what I mean? Like I know it's like it's good for, I know it's beneficial to have it when you're in really shit in a shit road. But for me it's basically you choose the path based from other people's experiences. And really, like for me, the only reason why I talk to people is again, yeah, it's your curiosity of how people are, of how people chose their path. Like why did you think of that? Like why? Like it's a question of learning about how, I don't know, a guy or a woman who chose a path of selling their bodies, like how not to judge them but to understand them. For me, that's the main the good points of an introvert has is that we are able to understand another person's perspective and truly understand them. And I guess basically for us to learn. It's actually a wonderful thing, like discussing things and learning things, and not just basing it on research or not basing it on YouTube, whatsoever, or on news, but basing it on actual people who actually experience them. So for me, that's the reason why it's not using people; it's more of like learning from people. We really learn from each other. Like for me, the reason why I said yes to this podcast, for one, because Doa is here. Second, is it's not a bad thing. Like conversing for me, communication is really the key to learn.
It's amazing what you just said because, yeah, I think I already have learned a lot from you guys during this only like couple of minutes that we're talking. I've already learned, and I wanna tell you now what I think of introverts, like exclusively.
We the best.
S-
Just saying.
so I think I first came across like this whole introvert concept or in the early days of me joining Twitter. Remember, Dua, like for us, Twitter was a very small community like not just in Egypt, but Twitter was a very small community, and you were able to talk to anyone around the world. So between 2010, 2011, all of this, I would have formed connections with people online. We would talk and discuss like daily matters, situations every day. And then there was this concept of like meetups when you meet people face to face. And some of these people would join, and I would be very surprised when I meet them in person and find that they are not talkative, they are not, they are shy sometimes, or they are in a corner. And I'd be very surprised because online they are have a different persona, right? So in the beginning I had this type of curiosity. I would be like, why are they like that? Because it's different from me, not because I'm judging it, but it's like I don't understand it. And then after a while it became cool to me to surround myself with what I call them geeks at that time, because they were the smart people to me. They were like, as Doa maybe just said in a way, like they don't think they should have a say in everything. So they internalize all of that knowledge and wisdom and whatever, but they don't go and share it for everyone with no reason. And a lot of them would be working or interested in like tech and programming and all of the things that I wish I would do, but I can't or didn't invest in. So I would think like, oh, it's cool to have introverts in my circle as well. And I liked that I had access and that I had like a common language with them, because I am like I am an extreme extrovert whether I like it or not. Like I would sign up to tests and I would try to like prove that I'm not as extroverted, but then I would be like on the end of the spectrum, But still, like I had access and common language with introverts, and I thought that's cool. I'm in the middle ground between them. I can talk about geeky stuff, and we could talk about also like movies and TV shows and like specific niche of interests, because I tend to think that introverts have like they would be interested in a subject and would be really interested, not just the surface level. They have very focused interests. So that was the transition of me coming across introverts, and then during my career, during my friendships, moving to Dubai, becoming an expat, and so having less friends or less circle of friends than how it used to be in Cairo, I still think of introverts as these very smart people. I'll tell you why, because they are smart about how they invest their energy, how they allocate it. Like for me, it takes me to have a burnout to realize that I need to be more careful with my energy and how I spend it. But introverts know already their energy levels, and they are very careful about how they spend it, who they spend it with. My point and my take on introverts is that I think they are really cool. And I think being geeky or nerdy or whatever is really very cool. I like that. My only take in the world, or my only issue, is like, I till now I cannot solve it, is that there should be a balance around the world between in power, in the power who's controlling, between introverts and extroverts. We need both, and introverts have a lot to give. But I've talked with Doaa before about this, is that sometimes they miss a lot of opportunities, or things or positions or whatever, because they don't speak up or don't take initiative. They are so happy with their comfort zone. They don't want to leave it. And okay, it's fine. I appreciate that. But still, like, there should be a balance. There are, as I said, I've met people that I think they deserve so much more in life because of their talent, their intelligence, their work. But they are so happy in their comfort zone that they don't go and seize the opportunity. So till now, I don't know how the answer to this question, like how to balance in the world, how to provide introverts and extroverts with equal opportunities, you know?
I think the fact that we have different fields is already balancing that, because there are fields where, as you said, introverts excel, and then there are other fields for extroverts. So I think I don't see it's unfair. I just, my only take, as you've mentioned, is that extroverts are, yes, they are taking many opportunities just because they initiate conversations, and they go and they introduce themselves, so they get ahead to some extent. But thankfully there are other pathways that uh, that are available in the world where also introverts can show themselves. For example, social media. Twitter for me was the it's the place for introverts. We have nowhere else. And I hate it when I don't like it when people fill Twitter with pictures, because I'm like, you guys have Instagram. Here we talk about thoughts.
I try, I try to play around this subject, but I also feel uncomfortable whenever I share a picture of me and I'm like, oh, look at me. I feel
I
really
do that.
uncomfortable.
I do that sometimes, but I hate when people like do threads of pictures or something. So I think in a way the world is balancing itself out.
No, but yeah, for me, like it's that it's basically, I'm sure that a psychologist defined us, but like Doa, like you can go out, you can go in a concert, you can go,
Yeah.
um, it doesn't really make sense in my head, for extroverts to say that introverts are this. So for me, yeah, it's odd. Like when Salma calls me an introvert, and friends are calling me extroverted because they don't really know me like at work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, how do you believe in the definition that they've given us? Like, how do you believe? Because everyone, for me, everyone is both. Um, everyone should be both.
Hmm.
But there are people, I don't feel that it's a right term to call a person with trauma, a person with anxiety, an introvert, because they have really mental problems.
Hmm.
They have their own, that's another world of, defining someone. But to call him, yeah, because he's an introvert, no, there's something wrong in the
Hmm.
balance of his like neurons whatsoever. But for us, honestly, I don't believe that someone is super extroverted and someone is like, it's just a matter of like interests, I guess.
And maybe there are days when you're more extrovert than introvert, and then the
Yeah,
opposite.
so
So
that's
it
that's
depends.
what do you call us then? Like, what do you call people who actually go out, who actually don't mind talking to people, who don't mind having conversations? Like
But
it's
I like, for me, I like one-to-one conversations
me too. Yeah,
more than group conversation, and
yeah,
I think that's the difference,
yeah,
because this is where you get to connect and share experiences and exchange thoughts. But
yeah,
in group conversations, for me, it's difficult. I always find it difficult to engage because I think I'm happy just hearing you guys talk and exchange, and I'm fine with it. So I don't interact. So that's when people think I'm,
yeah. I don't excel in brainstorming in a
yeah,
group. I really suck at it.
I have
Like
to sit
whenever,
and think and
yeah,
then, yeah,
whenever we're in a group, like for example, for an event, of course, it's a brainstorming thing, right? Like everyone provides input. I am the silent one, and then they're surprised because then I'm the person who's going to assess those brainstorming because it's like it's too much people talking and everything, like people are just, again, it's brainstorming, but for me, I get anxiety when someone will ask me, what do you think? I'm like, I'm okay, like continue first and then I'll put my input because now I'm like I'm super overwhelmed with all of your thoughts.
But what about if brainstorming is designed in a way that it's not only verbal where everyone can talk, but it's like, okay, write your thoughts, do it on the whiteboard, do some activity where everyone can go by themselves, think for a few minutes and come back. You know, like they don't, the world doesn't have to be designed. That's my point that I was trying to tell you earlier, is that the world doesn't have to be designed by extroverts all the time. That's why we need the input of everyone. I'll give you a small example. I'm left-handed, right? And left-handed turned out are like only like 11% in the world or something like that. So the world is not designed for left-handed people. You know, when in college the chairs that I had were all right-handed, so I would write like this, you know.
hmm,
um, Even when driving in the beginning, though, driving was a very big challenge for me because with my legs, even I do things left first, and I had to learn how to, you know, use my right leg and depend on it more. So it's a lot about a lot of different things. Also, I read online, or I read somewhere, that because of how scientific experiences in the beginning were designed for males first. So for instance, the seatbelt in the car, it's made for male physique mainly, because of
Mm.
how they went and during the beginning of the experiences. So because I'm short, and because I feel like, I don't know, but a lot of the time I feel like the seatbelt is suffocating me. I'm not sure if you guys have the same issue. So I'm
yeah,
giving you two examples on that can extend and apply also to like involving introverts in the thought process of doing things, conducting things. If in brainstorming, how to make sure that the process, if you're someone who think on the spot, or if you're someone who needs your time, you know, all of these things, like, and everywhere there needs to be some balance. That's my point. All in all, there needs to be some balance.
That's
yeah,
what I was
I
telling
agree
Doa.
with
Like
you.
for me, I really don't feel that there's a need to call everyone like if you're extrovert or introvert because I feel that everyone is both in a way. Yeah, because you have to deal with people. You have to survive this world. You have to deal with going out, unless you're a billionaire who has like again, I'm telling you, like if I had $1 billion, like I would probably be home, like just chill, like and be happy alone. But end of the day, you force yourself to go out of your comfort zone, and this is why I really don't believe in the labeling of extrovert and introvert because we ourselves teach our brain to do things. Like for you as an extrovert, I have loads of extroverts who are extroverted friends who went crazy during Corona as well. But then now those friends I have one friend who actually is into meditation now, who's actually into yoga. Like that time taught them how to be one, how to love your your alone time, how to love like spending time with your thoughts. So it's for me, it's there's no such thing as extrovert versus introvert because we are all basically dealing with our own problems the same way, unless, I mean, again,
Yeah.
unless you really have a mental problem. That's when it's different for me.
My counter argument here um, is that I kind of believe in labeling in a way,
Mm,
from a scientific point of view.
mm,
So let's say that for me, my thought process is usually is like once I know I have this, once I have the label, this is
mm,
how it becomes a reality to me. And I start to know, okay, how to handle this. So it's always been this way for me. Like once I get diagnosed, yes, you have anxiety and depression. So, first of all, it makes it a reality. Oh, it's not just in your head. You're not just making excuses and imagining this. No, you have this.
mm,
Once I have that definition or label or whatever you call it, then I try to like research and do the work onto like how to get over this or how to deal with this or how to move on with this. That's one example. The other example is like you see some people and myself included. Sometimes I write my personality type like I'm ENFP. Why
mm,
do you want people to know your personality type? It's because it's like you're giving them access to how to deal with you. This is
mm,
how I am. I'm trying to make myself accessible and open. And why for me labeling is important is because it defines things, it makes you know more about yourself, and then you can deal with it. Again, going back to the personality type, it's not just also like how you think of yourself or your self-awareness. Psychologists, it has to do with your genetic from your family. Like, you know, it has a lot of things that are also like physiological. It's not just I woke up one day, I decided to be an extrovert, you know, or after some meditation by myself, oh, I became an introvert. There are, as I said, you keep growing. That's what I told you with the test. Like when you do the test a few years later, you would see that there are some things have
differences.
changed with you.
Yeah.
But still, there are factors that you cannot change. For instance, my dad was very talkative. He was very good at forming connections with the most random people. And when we would have talks and he's like, oh, so you didn't get anything from me, I would tell him, yeah, I got your people skills, I know that. You know, my mom also, she has the ability to form a connection with any single person around you, and she uses the skill to her benefit a lot, especially when getting things done, you know, in governmental institutions and stuff. I don't have that patience, I don't have that, you know, uh, people skill like she does. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling you now is I know for a fact that I got these kind of skills from my parents. My argument now is labeling can be good if it helps you know yourself better.
I'm not saying labeling is wrong. For me, introvert and extrovert is a bit odd because we are both. A lot of people um, choose their path of being introverted. I feel that introvertedness, us ghosting people, is a choice. It's a choice of not picking up the call. It's not as if like it's not it's a choice that you have. So for me, that sort of labeling is a bit odd. There should be like a term. They should change this term because it's not really real in terms of people without disorders. This is what I'm saying. There's a difference of labeling someone with ADHD with disorders, really, like personality disorder. It's really different. Like, I cannot say that for the same with people with ADHD, with whatsoever disorder. But
Hmm.
for people, I'm not even diagnosed. I'm sure I have a lot of disorders. I am pretty sure, but I've never like even
But we still love you.
I know. But I mean, imagine if I knew all of my disorders, that will give me so much anxiety. Like I don't want to know it. I just want to deal with it on my own. Like seriously, leave me the hell alone.
Jojo,
I'm
thank you
looking
for
at
mentioning
I'm
that
looking at
because
Doaa because I know.
Because I want to say something here, not about you,
Yeah.
Salma, in general, that again, I'm an introvert. That's a label I'm not ashamed of.
Mm.
So I like the world, or I like extroverts to know that just because introvert people do not talk about their problems, it doesn't mean that they do not have problems. I myself like to, as you said, Jojo, deal with it. I have a problem. I have to deal with it first and get it over with and then talk about it. So I'm not very curious about the diagnosis part. I mean, especially with disorders or something like this.
Yeah.
I
I
like
yeah.
to go through it on my own and get it over with, and then this is only when I can share it with someone else.
Yeah.
This is my way of dealing with problems and issues of my life.
Then you'll have the confidence to share your experiences.
But I don't know how to talk about my problems to someone. I'm not maybe confident. I'm not comfortable enough doing that
Yeah.
because I believe it would change nothing. I have to deal with it, maybe go see a doctor, a therapist. I have to deal with it in a professional way, and then I can talk about it that I had this and this.
I'll tell you what it will change here because you touched upon a pain point that I've had for years and years. In my friendships, usually, I'm the talkative one. Let's just get it out at the fact. I'm outspoken. I share and share. I get better by venting out, by actually defining, as I was just telling you, my thought process is like once there are things out inside that are clattering, I get them out. As soon as I get them out and they start to take a shape and they are defined, that's when I start on my healing process or I start working on this, right? So I had a lot of friends. Actually, when I think about it, a lot of my close friends are introverts. And the pain point I would mention right now is that they have the opposite. I would start to feel that I'm the one sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing and talking, and they are listening and they are accepting, and they never make me feel judged for sharing too much or talking too much. But still, it's not reciprocated. What's the word? They
Yeah,
don't do the same.
Yeah.
And after a while, it makes me doubt myself. Stuff like, feel like, am I. Am I being selfish? Am I the one who's always talking and I'm forcing them to listen to me? That's one of the like sources of anxiety that I have. Or am I not making them feel comfortable enough to share with me? I'm not providing like a safe environment. That's also one of the sources of my insecurity. And then it goes into like, don't they think of me as a close friend as well? Don't they think of me in the same way? So I go into this whole loop of anxiety and insecurity because this friend is not doing the same. And it's still a process, to be honest with you, but I spend years thinking like that, especially with some friendships. I would tell them, this is not how I define friendship, you guys. You have to share with me also if you're going through a tough time because I want to be there for you. I also feel like as it should be both ways, that you're there for me and I want you to be there for I want to be there for you as well, right? And it took me it took me years to start to accept, at least if I don't even understand it, to accept and respect that these friends have a different type of process of dealing with their shit. And that doesn't, it's not personal, it's not about me, or it's not about that they don't trust me. But I'm not saying that I've reached this conclusion, everything. I still get a lot in my head when I don't feel that the process goes both ways. So what you said right now is like I'm trying to give you why actually it's important sometimes to like mention to the other person your thought process or what you're going through, or even a snippet of like, I'm going through stuff, I'm going to share them. Once I deal with them, it's okay, this is how I deal with things. Because on the other hand, the other person might be like actually thinking of all the different things that I just told you now.
hmm. I read something few days ago on a group. A girl in Dubai asking, how do introverts make friends? And all of the answers were
Oh my
we
God,
do,
we have the same
yeah,
topic in the head.
and all the answers were they don't. Extroverts find them and be friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Adopt
We
an
don't make
introvert
friends.
today.
Listen, my definition of friendship is a need. It's a need for attention. It's a need for, to do something else, to take a break for your alone time. For my definition of hanging out with friends is, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with I did my whole
Yeah,
Zen thing alone. Like it's basically it goes both ways. As you said, you like your friends to reciprocate what you're giving them. But then for me, specifically for me, I know that friendship means you're in need of attention, you're in need of advice, you're in need, like, that's what friends are for me. Like, that's what friends are for, is to supply you with your need of attention, supply you with, give you, give, and then it's either you reciprocate it the same way, or you're a real friend who listens. So for me, friendship is needing the attention, or needing just a break from yourself. Like, for me, this time, like, talking to you guys is just a break from what I've been, I mean, I forgot about the podcast, but I'm
yeah,
like, it's a break from that break. You
yeah.
get what I mean? Like,
I
it's
get it.
it's more of like, you need friends, you
Exactly.
really
Yeah.
need friends to survive your world, your sanity. And it's true, like, there are people like Salma who wants to be heard, who wants to be, like, seen, who wants to be with, like, physically, like, see, touch, all the senses. For us, it's more of like, yeah, we know it's scheduled in a way. Our body reacts like when we need attention. Like, but by the way, it's not the same. Friendship, for me, it's not the same with my relationships. With my relationships, I'm a
Yes.
needy person. Like, I need
Mm.
attention. Like, I need to know what you're doing. I need to know how your day is. Like, it's not being, what do you call this, possessive. It's not possession. It's more of like, you're my other half, you're an extension of me. So, like, I'm curious about you 24/7. But with
24/7.
friends, it's more of like, yeah, no, I mean, you get what I mean. Like, they're an extension of you 24/7. Like,
Is
for
it
me,
like a you
it's more,
Netflix when you're if you're not watching them?
yes, stalker.
Is that kind of attention?
It's not that attention, but it's more of like, you just, because you feel that that person is a part of you. So basically, for you
Mm.
to function properly, like, your other half um should reciprocate this as well. And that's why, for me, in relationships, I'm a I'm
Look
different.
at Jojo being all cute.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm different. I'm very different. Like, I would, but with other people, no. Like, then I would say it directly, like, yeah, I'm done, I'm tired. I'll see you later.
I have a segment in my show called Everyone Should Stop and then fill in the blanks.
Hmm. Everyone should stop talking on the phone every day.
Spoken like a true introvert.
I guess it just, what Doa just said is like, everyone should stop talking to each other, like in a while. For me, it's more of like, it's not just about you. It's also the other person. So, if s- yeah, just everyone should just chill and just realize that the world doesn't revolve around them. um like, I say this in all sorts of, like, what you experience in your day, in your life. Like, if you're so filled with that, you have to, you need to, like, you don't think of your surroundings, then you will live a very stressful, painful life. Like you will have a painful life ahead. For me, you just should let things, people, just let it go. Like just let it go. Like just focus on yourself, your sanity. Focus on who you should be. Focus on your goals. Because if not, if you're focusing on why, then you'll end up being just, you're not happy, you're not fulfilled. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm there, of course not, but yeah, like at work, of course, you want to please. With friends, you want to please. Like sometimes maybe train yourself, train your mind, like just not to care much about everyone, how everyone sees you, how everyone reacts. Like don't take it seriously, really.
Amazing. Where can listeners find you online?
Well, through you.
If
So
someone wants to reach you, I would be your correspondent now.
Via Salma. Yeah, we're not available. This is
Yeah,
not an
of course.
invite
Yeah.
at
What what
all.
what did I expect asking introverts that question? Like really?
I'm available on Twitter. Also, you will find me through Salma because we're texting a lot through Twitter, so you would find me on her profile.
No, you can't find me anywhere. Even my profiles on social media is a bit boring. I don't give my thoughts. Just saying, I don't give my thoughts in social media.
Okay, so I'll write if you wanna reach Jojo, just text me.
I
Through
doubt
Salma.
it.
Just don't.
Just
After
don't.
hearing all of this, I doubt it. I doubt that they're gonna want to reach out.
Ladies, I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed this. I cannot begin to tell you. Um,
This was really fun. I enjoyed. Yeah, we
yeah,
talk. We exist sometimes.
we prove something here as a hypothesis. Yeah, you guys, we like talking. Introverts like talking, you know.
Yeah,
So I
that
really
was
enjoyed
fun.
this. Thank you so much for joining me and for being open to a lot of my counter arguments or things that I'm saying from my point of view.
Of
Um,
course.
I really loved this, and we should do it again sometime.
Thank you, Salma, for inviting us and for reaching out to introverts and caring about them and give them a voice. This
Oh
is
my
a
god!
safe space for introverts to speak their minds.
Oh my god! Jojo, just give me like a thing I could add like as a an outtake and invite more introverts. And
Ah.
oh, one of the introverts gave a testimony and said, "This is a safe space."
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
Thank you, ladies,
You will
so
be
much.
heard on this podcast, introverts.
Thank you, ladies, so much. I'm so appreciative.
Thank you, Salma.
thank you.
If you liked this episode, please let me know by rating, sharing your feedback, or subscribing.